Hello everyone, this is Sandhya. I'm back with another chapter. Today we will continue with Geography of Class 10 and the chapter which we will discuss is Resources and Development. So, in this chapter introduces us to resources and its classification. Furthermore, going into the depth of the chapter, we will learn the development of resources and resources planning in India. We will know about land resources and the classification of different types of soils found in India. In the end, the chapter discusses soil erosion and soil conservation. All these topics are discussed in detail in this session. Dear children, please go through this session and make your studies more effective. Let us move on to the topic. Dear children, resources include the total natural environment as all parts of the earth are of some uses to man. They are actually stocks of nature such as water, soil, minerals, coal, forests, etc. Let us move on to the topic. Today's our topic resources and development. Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs is called resources. Observe the given picture carefully, dear children. Water, soil, forest, rocks, mineral, soil, animals, all resources. The children, everything in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs and is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable is termed as resource. Here very important thing, human beings themselves are essential components of resources. They transform material available in the environment into resource and use them. Dear children, let us discuss about classifications of resources. Classification of resources. Children, resources can be classified in different categories on the basis of origin, on the basis of exhaustibility, on the basis of ownership, on the basis of status of development. Let us discuss now on the basis of origin, biotic and abiotic. Biotic resources are obtained from the biosphere and have life. Human beings, flora and fauna, and fisheries, livestock, etc. Then what about abiotic resources? All those things which are composed of non-living things are called abiotic resources. For example, rocks and metals. Then on the basis of exhaustibility, the resources divided into two categories, renewable and non-renewable. Let us discuss that now. On the basis of exhaustibility, renewable and non-renewable. Here observe the given picture. Renewable resources, plants, animals for example, and non-renewable resources, minerals, fossil fuels and soils. Dear children, the resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical or mechanical process are known as renewable or replenishable resources. The renewable resource may further be divided into continuous or flow. For example, solar and wind energy, water, forest and wildlife, etc. Then what about non-renewable resources? Non-renewable resources occur over a very long geographical time. These resources take millions of years in their formation, Some of the resources like metals are recyclable and some like fossil fuels cannot be recycled and get exhausted with their use. For example, minerals and fossil fuels. Then our resources on the basis of ownership are divided into individual, community, national and international. So let us discuss about that. Dear children, individual resources. These resources are owned privately by individuals. In villages, people own lands, whereas in urban areas, people own plants, houses, and other properties. For example, plantation and pasture lands and ponds, water in wells, etc. Dear children, community owned resources are accessible to all members of the community. For example, grazing grounds, burial grounds, public parks, and public spots and playgrounds, etc. Then, what about national resources? National resources are owned by a nation or country. All the minerals, water resources, forest and wildlife land within the political boundaries and oceanic areas. Also, they are belongs to the nation. For example, roads, canals and railways, etc. Then what about international resources? International resources are regulated by international institutions. The oceanic rivers beyond 200 nautical miles of the exclusive economic zones belong the open ocean and no individual country can utilize these without the concurrence of international institutions. Then again resources divided on the basis of the status of development. They are again potential development and stock and reserve. Let us discuss those things now. Potential resources. Potential resources are the resources which are found in a region but have not been utilized. For example, Rajasthan and Gujarat have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy, but so far these have not been developed properly. Then what about developed resources? Developed resources which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. The development of resources depends on technology and levels of their feasibility. Then materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human needs but human beings do not have the opportunity to technology to access these are called stock. For example, hydrogen can be used as a rich source of energy but we do not have advanced technology to use it. Then what about reserves? Reserves are subset of the stock which can be put into use with the help of existing technical and know-how, but their use has not been started. These can be used for meeting future requirements, for example, water in the dams, forests, etc. Then rivers which can be used in the future also. Dear children, let us discuss about development of resources, how we can develop these resources. Sustainable economic development means the development should take place without damaging the environment and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of future generations. Dear children, resources have been used by human beings indiscriminately and this had led to the major problems. The problems: depletion of resources for satisfying greed of a few individuals, accumulation of resources in a few hands, which in turn divided the society into segments like rich and poor. It has led to global ecological crises such as global warming, ozone layer depletion, environmental pollution, and land degradation. Then, resources planning is essential for sustainable existence of all forms of the life. Then, how it is? The sustainable development is nothing but development should take place without damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of future generations. That is the reason why in India there are some regions which can be considered self-sufficient in terms of the availability of resources, and there are some regions which have acute shortage of some vital resources. This calls of balanced resources planning at the national and state, regional and local levels. Then how it is? Identification and investment of resources across the regions of the country. This involves surveying, mapping, and quantitative assumption and measurements of the resources. Then evolving a planning structure endowed with appropriate technology, skill, and institutional setup for implementing resource development plans. Not only this, matching the resources development plans with the overall national development plans. Resources can contribute to development only when they are accompanied by appropriate technological development and institutional change. India has made concerned efforts toward achieving the goals of resource planning right from the first 5 years plan launched after independence, as we discussed this in history, to overcome irrational consumption and overutilization of resources, such as resources conservation at various levels in important. Dear children, land is a natural resource of utmost importance. As we know this, it supports natural vegetation, wildlife, human life, economic activities, transport, and communication system. India has land under a variety of relief features, namely mountains, plateaus, plains, and islands. As we know that already we discussed it in previous classes, 6th and 7th classes. But how we can utilize these things? How we can use these resources? What is the purpose? Then forests like and land not available for cultivation, and barrens, fallow land, other uncultivated lands, but some lands they are not being used. Children, let us discuss about land degradation and conservation measures. Land degradation: continuous use of land over a long period of time without taking appropriate measures to conserve and manage it. Then how we can conserve? These are the measures: soil erosion, types of erosion, methods to prevent soil erosion in hilly areas. Dear children, land degradation, how it is happen? Human activities such as deforestation, overgrazing, mining, and quarrying have contributed significantly to land degradation. Mining sites leave deep scars and trace of overbounding the land. In recent years, industrial effluents as waste have become a major source of land and water pollution in many parts of the country. And some ways we can hold these things. How? Afforestation and proper management of grazing, planting of shelter belts of plants, and how stabilization of sand dunes by growing thorny bushes, proper management of wastelands to control of mining activities, proper management of wastelands and control of mining activities, proper discharge and disposal of industrial effluents and waste after treatment. We know already soil is the most important renewable natural resource. It is the medium of plant living organisms on the earth. It takes millions of years of farm soil up to a few centimeters depth. Various forces of nature, such as the change in temperature, access of running water, wind and glaciers, activities of decomposers, etc., contribute to the formation of soil. Dear children, we discussed that parent rocks or bedrocks, climate, vegetation, and other forms of life and time are important factors in the formation of soil. But chemical and organic changes which takes place in the soil play an important role. Soils also consist of organic humus and inorganic materials. Then let us discuss about classification of soils. On the basis of the factors responsible for soil formation, color, thickness, texture, age, and chemical and physical properties. The soils of India are classified into different types of. Wait, let us discuss that. Alluvial soil, black soil, red and yellow soil, laterite soil, and arid soil, forest soil. Let us discuss first alluvial soil. The entire northern plains are made of alluvial soil. The alluvial soil is deposited by three important Himalayan river systems, Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. It is also found in Rajasthan, Gujarat and eastern coastal plains, particularly in the delta of the Mahanadi and Godavari, the Krishna and Kaveri rivers. Dear children, the alluvial soil consists of various proportions of sand, silt and clay. As we move inland towards the river valley, particles appear to be bigger in size, whereas in the upper side of the river valley, the soils are coarse. Based on age, alluvial soil can be classified two categories: old alluvial and new alluvial. Old alluvial called as like Bangar and new alluvial Khadar. The Bangar soil has a higher concentration of conquer and than the Khadar. Then what about Khadar? It has more fine particles and is more fertile than the Bug. But alluvial soils are very fertile. These soils contain an adequate proportion of phos and phosphoric acid and lime, which are ideal for the growth of sugar cane, paddy, wheat and other cereals and pulse crops. Then let us discuss about black soil. Black soil is black in color and is also known as rigor soil. Climatic conditions along with the parent rock material are the important factors for the formation of black soil. The soil is deep for growing cotton and is also known as black cotton soil. This type of soil is typical of the Deccan region spread over northwest Deccan Plateau and is made up of lava flows. The soil covers the plateau of Maharashtra and Malwa and extends in the southeast direction along the Godavari and Krishna valleys. The black soil are made up of extremely fine clay material and well known for their capacity to hold moisture. Children, black soil is nutrient rich and contains and calcium carbonate, magnesium and potash and lime. The soil is sticky when wet and difficult to work on unless till immediately after the first shower or during the pre-monsoon period. Let us discuss now red and yellow soil. This type of soil develops on crystalline Indigenous rocks in areas of low rainfall in the eastern and southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. These soils develop a reddish color due to diffusion of iron in crystalline and metamorphic rocks. These rocks yellow when it occurs in a hydrothermal form. Found in parts of Odisha, Chhattisgarh, southern parts of the Middle Ganga plains, and along the zone of Western Ghats. Let us discuss about laterite soil. Dear children, the laterite soil develops under tropical and subtropical climate with the alternate wind and dry season. Laterite soil is the result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. Laterite soil are acidic nature and generally in a plant nutrient. This type of soil is found mostly in southern states, Western Ghats region of Maharashtra, Odisha, some parts of the West Bengal and Northeast regions. This soil supports deciduous and evergreen forest but humus very poor. This soil is very useful for growing tea and coffee. Then what about arid soil? Arid soil range from red to brown in color and this soil is generally sandy in texture and saline in nature. In some areas, the salt content is very high and common salt is obtained by evaporating the water. Arid soil lacks humus and moisture. The lower regions of the soil are occupied by conker because of the increasing calcium content downwards. The conker layers formation in the bottom horizon restrict the infiltration of water. Then last but not least forest soil. Forest soils are found in the hilly and mountains areas. This soil texture is loomy and silt in the valley side and coarse grain in the upper slope. In the snow covered areas of Himalayas, these soils experience dense on the acidic with low humus content. The soil is very fertile on the river terrace and alluvial farms. Dear children, the soil covers and subsequently washing down in described as soil erosion. The children, the soil erosion is caused due to human activities like deforestation, overgrazing, and construction and mining, etc. Children, there are also some natural factors like wind glaciers and water which led to soil erosion. Soil erosion is also caused due to defective methods of farming. The running water cuts through the clay soil and makes deep channels of gullies. The land becomes unfit for cultivation and is known as badland. When water flows as a sheet over large areas down a slope and the topsoil is washed away, it is known as sheet erosion. Wind blows loose soil off flat or sloping and known as wind erosion. Okay, now we discussed about the soil erosion. Then what are the preventions? How we can conserve soil erosion? Let us discuss this now. Plugging along the counter lines and declare the flow of water down the slopes. This is called counter plugging. This is one way of conserving. And terrace cultivation. Restrict erosion. This cultivator only restrict the erosion. And agriculture practice is done in western and central Himalayas. When a large field is divided into stripes and stripes of grass are left to grow between the crops. This is one method. Then this breaks up the force of the wind. This method is known as strip cropping. Another method, planting lines of the trees to create shelter helps in the sustainable of sand, helps in the dunes and in stabilizing the deserts in western India. Rows of such trees are called shelter belts. Dear children, last but not least, Dear children, always believe in yourself. You have the ability to do any kind of work, whatever it is, easy or tough. So be confident and work hard to get your dreams. Dear children, we know that due to COVID pandemic, the whole world is struggling. So we started video lectures. It is easy to connect with you all, and this will help us to cover the syllabus and to maintain the flow of study. Please, you must take advantage of this opportunity. Learning will continue even during this crisis. Stay tuned for more video lectures on social science. Stay safe, keep learning. Have a nice day. Thank you.